Psalm 98, if you read from verses 4 to 6, make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Break forth into joyous song and sing praises. Sing praises with the lyre, the sound of melody, with the trumpets and the sound of the horn. Make a joyful noise before the King, the Lord. When we read this, we understand that this is an idea of celebration. And we know in Old Testament, they used all these instruments. The Levites carried all these instruments, the lyre and the cymbals and everything. Psalms 150, we know, praise him with the lyre, praise him with the cymbals. And it's kind of bringing everything that you have, bring it together so we can celebrate the victory of the Lord. And that's the idea. And the trumpets are normally used by the priest because it also had a meaning of gathering people, gather everybody so that we can worship the Lord. Now, even though the music is so evident here, and in heaven also it is evident, there are some churches or some people who are very cautious about using these instruments. Charles Spurgeon, he spoke to around 20,000 people every week for 20 years. But his church never had any mechanical instruments. He never used it. There are many churches who does that. Now, why do they do that? Because it is possible that it can be a little deceptive, right? You go with the music and not really with the goal of the music. So we know psychologically how it helps. It prepares us, and it's more of a vehicle that can carry the message. John Calvin, that he was saying music can penetrate deeply the word that it carries. So this is like a vehicle. You can wrap this music around the message that we have, and you send it. It actually goes, and it goes inside our soul very easily. So that's the purpose of the music. But if it doesn't have anything inside, it just becomes emotions. And it's not just in the church that we love music. There are all concerts. People cry, people die, people enjoy, and everybody enjoys music. So music has that power. It is a created thing of God, and it had a purpose. But the purpose of that is it can prepare us emotionally so that the message reaches the people in that. And when we think about this music, that's also why it's very deceiving, right? We have a big industry around music today, right? There is so much influence about music, and everybody likes music. Everybody needs music. That has become such a critical essence of our church. I know I spoke to one Heartbeats Campus Crusade staff many years back, and he said there was a time when the preachers used to come. They used to kick the tabla away because nobody liked music at that time. It was like a bad thing. You are kind of manipulating it, and that was kind of the stage at that time. And now we know there is no meeting without music. We just saw the flyer. We have people coming from abroad and everywhere to do the music. The worship is so integral, and that is biblical, and there is worship. But the goal of this music is that it allows us to get this word inside of us. So the music is not our goal. The goal is different. Music is an instrument through which that happens. Now, when we think about worship in the New Testament, the instruction on worship, I think the core passage would be Ephesians chapter 5. And it talks about music. It says, speak one another in psalms, hymns, and song from the Spirit. It's all about singing to each other. So one reason why we sing is not just for us to be reminded about what God has done, but it's also about reminding each other about God's greatness and reminding us of what God has done. So it has a corporate meaning or corporate goal. It is not just singing yourself alone at home. That's why we come together, so that we encourage each other by singing. Now, when we think about this psalm, it talks about the music, and the key thing about the psalm is also singing a new song. And when we think about this singing, I also want to remember when we are singing, this is just a vehicle that is carrying the message. And think about the situation when our songs, our lyrics do not have the accurate meaning, what are we taking? What are we sending to these people? Right? With the music, it comes here. If it's not accurate, if it's not the truth, if it doesn't have any word in it, it is just a physical or external, emotional facilitation. There's nothing else that happens. It is just useless if you do not have. That's why whenever we do the worship, the lyrics is important, because that is what the goal is, and we are reminded about that lyrics. That's why we also check what the lyrics of the songs are. Luther always called this singing is word ministry. And it is still the word that is important. One of my friends was sharing about worship, and he said, singing is also one kind of message. Right? That also has this content. There is a message in there. There's a reminder in there. There is encouragement in there. So singing is also one kind of word ministry. Now, last time when Peter shared, he shared about what this new song is. It is through our experience, we experience different mercies in our lives, and that is what we are singing. Or, in other words, new substance or reasons for praise because of the blessing of the presence in our life. And that is one new song that we can sing. We don't have to be great musicians to write new songs. The idea is you have a new experience, and when you sing, the word looks the same, but you have experienced something differently, and that makes you sing the new song, Russ. Now, I was thinking about this new song. And one portion I also found this new song is in Revelation. So if you turn to Revelation chapter 5, verse 9, it says, "And they sang a new song, saying, Worthy are you to take the scroll, to open its seals, for you were slain, and by your blood you ransomed people for God from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made them a kingdom and priests to our God, and they shall reign on the earth." What is new in this? What is new in this? It is talking about the gospel. It is talking about the sacrifice of Christ. It is the redemption of Christ. But they're saying, oh, it's a new song. And there we understand that when we say new, it does not mean something that is newly happening, but it is the same gospel and the effects of the gospel, the results of the gospel, the experience of the gospel in different dimensions, different aspects of it, and that is what is termed as the new song in this occasion. When we may think, when we reach heaven, forget about the gospel, it's all about the new. No, this is so central to our life as well. I was reading in the book of Revelation, there are around 29 times it talks about the Lamb. And every time it's about worship and salvation. In order to understand this book, the idea of lamb, not just the lion, he's a lion and the lamb, but the idea of lamb itself is so central to understanding the book, and it's so key in the book of Revelation. And what is happening here? There is a scroll, and it is sealed. There are 7 seals in it, and it's saying in the heaven, there's a question: who is worthy to open the scroll? And in verse 3, it says, "No one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or look into it." What is this scroll? This is talking about, in simple words, this is a final history of this world, and you open it, there is judgment and what's going to happen. And the heaven is looking for somebody who can open it. And it looked at Old Testament saints, Abraham, Moses, David. No one could open it. It looked at the prophets. It looked at the judges. It looked at the disciples. It looked at the apostles. No one was worthy to open the scroll, but only the Lamb that was slain. Only Jesus could do the righteousness of God and found eligible or sufficient or had the authority to open this scroll. Now, many of our life, sometimes we are more excited about the Red Sea, the Kalasithile Maavu Koreyatha, Kodam, right? And deliverance, healing, and all that. And all those people who, through whom it happened, heaven said, they're not still worthy. What was the act? That was the ultimate act that caused the righteousness of God, and that is the ultimate thing that happened. That was the lamb that was slain. That was the lamb that was slain. What has happened in our life is we have caught up with so many things outside on this world, which is temporal, that we have lost this idea of being gospel so central to our life. Sometimes we think gospel is just a starting point. It's like a springboard. You start your Christian life there, then we are progressing. Forget about it. No, gospel is like the pool in which you always swim around, because every time we need to come before God, we need the gospel. We know that we once deserved wrath, and now we are in God's child. So that does not mean, we once needed gospel, now I am all by myself. No, every day we can come to God only because of this gospel. So when we experience God in different ways, when we come to God in different ways, it is the gospel that is enabling us. And therefore, the gospel needs to be the continuous song, the new song that we often sing in our life. We need to experience that. We need to appreciate that. We need to understand that. And when we think about this new song, we have to often ask, have we lost that appreciation for the gospel? Because the heaven is still talking about the gospel. They are talking about the lamb that was slain. For us, that has become a history, and we don't remember about it. But if you really understand our situation and how much gospel has, the value of the gospel and what it has done to us, that will be the ultimate purchase that God has made. That's the deliverance that we have received, and we cannot compare that with any of the temporal things in this world. So we will sing this gospel over and over again. Every day, every week, when we come here, we have to remember and be reminded about this gospel, and that's why we are singing with each other. That's why most of the song has got a line that need to connect to the redemption or the cross, because that is the only thing that we can boast about, and that is so central, and that is worthy of praise than anything else, any healing, any deliverance, anything that we have received in this temporal world. And may I encourage you so that we understand how great this gospel is, and we enjoy this gospel and worship and remember and be motivated by what God has done. The lamb, remember the lamb that was slain. May God bless.